Welcome to the Not On My Watch podcast, where real-life issues facing the family and the church are addressed with bold and uncompromising truth. It's time to reject the mediocrity of the day, live courageously in the face of danger, and declare, Not On My Watch. Here are your hosts, Jeff and Rochelle Ferguson.
Welcome to the Not On My Watch podcast. We are Jeff and Rochelle. So excited that you are listening today. Thank you so much. Wherever you're listening, YouTube, Facebook, podcast sites.
Podcast land. Wherever you're listening
Apple
or
Podcasts,
watching.
wherever. We'd love it if you just rate and review, share it, get the word out. We've experienced a lot of growth lately, and so thank you. Let's keep it going.
And if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, I'd suggest going over YouTube. There's the video. Click the bell icon so you're notified of all the new episodes. So just want to
thank you.
Tips and tricks. So
cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry.
I think it's really important, Jeff. Jeff is our, I don't know, what do you like? Our tech?
Yeah, what do you want to call me? I'm waiting.
You are the organized one of the two of us, but then you said I was more organized than I thought.
I would disagree. So. You know what? We're going to change the episode right now.
Talk about our strengths and weaknesses.
On the fly.
This
is turning into a marriage podcast.
We had some funny comments about us being married today. We were meeting with an individual, a professional individual in our community. Oh, and he said some funny things, but I really don't think I should go into this.
I don't know if I would be able to refocus.
Okay.
But thank you.
Just trust us that it was funny.
Yeah,
so that was
maybe
an
we'll
inside
talk about
joke.
it sometime.
Yeah, if you want to hear about it, let us know. Okay.
Absolutely.
So today we're going to talk about something that I think is, for us, we're experts on, and you'll understand why.
I'm excited about this. I can't wait.
Do you want to introduce it?
Yes, we're talking about being parents of kids and all of those kids being the same gender. So you have multiple children or you have one child.
Either way, it would work.
Either way, all one gender. Specifically, I don't know. In our case,
the gender that we are experts in.
The gender that we are experts in is...
We are girl parents.
We are girl parents.
So we have all girls, 3 daughters. So you're a girl dad.
I even have a shirt, and I made sure, whoever gave it to me, thank you, it was camo colored.
I think I helped the girls pick it out. So
yeah,
you're a girl dad.
I'm
a girl mom. I've worn some shirts that say girl mama and stuff. Had some hats. Okay, so anyways, we're going to talk about this. I think it matters. We really felt like we should have a topic on this. And as we were we do a little bit of prep work, whether you believe it or not. But we do some prep work. We're research-based. And so we did some research and did some prep work. And wow, this is a bigger topic than what we thought.
The more we started talking about this, the more we started looking into this, this is more of a thing than what I even realized.
Yeah. We're just living it.
I'm just like, yeah.
We're just living it. We didn't
girls.
know.
I didn't realize there was just stuff out there, whether it be social media, a lot of thoughts, and really this is a very charged topic.
Can be.
It can be.
It's not going to be a charged topic.
It's not going to be a charged topic here, but I was surprised to know, I think we were walking one day and we started talking about this and some things that, you can see on social media, and I'm like, I didn't even know this was even a reason to be a topic full of emotion and kind of charge, I guess, like it can be. So it shocked me.
Well, we're well aware, though, of the comments.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So I could not even tell you how many times strangers, now sometimes it's people we know, but a lot of times even just absolute strangers will come up to Jeff or myself and say, oh, when are you going to get that boy?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I wish I had like hundreds of dollars. I would be a rich, like literally, Not On My Watch would be fully funded if I had $100 for every time somebody had asked us that or made comments about the fact that we have all daughters.
I remember one specific time, a lot of times, just one specific time in the mall. So we're in the girls section. Surprise. We're in the girls section, the girls' clothes section. And Rochelle's looking. And I'm just hanging out with the girls, making sure that, they're not running off, all that stuff. So, and a guy comes and he says, "Oh, all girls." And I said, "Yes." He said, "When," just like you said, "when you going to have the boy?" And in that moment, all my girls I feel them. If you have girls, you feel them.
Yes.
They're just watching. They're doing this. And I feel
They're
them.
very attuned to all
And
that
one
is
thing
going
you
on.
have to know about me is I really want to make people feel comfortable. And you joke around with me because in those instances,
that is such a polite way.
I often overcompensate. I've been Go ahead.
Not often. I will not.
All of the time. That's another marriage podcast.
I was going to say, I don't think you're supposed to say always, but
by the way, we're writing a marriage book.
Almost every time, very frequently.
What I hear you saying.
Very frequently you overcompensate.
Yes.
And you join in on jokes.
You're right.
To make people feel comfortable.
Because I don't like.
But in the end, we're all uncomfortable.
Can I just say I don't like discomfort, and I want to do what I can do to make people feel comfortable. But in that moment, I realize there's more at stake in that moment than making the person feel comfortable, because I have 3 girls that are awaiting my response. Now
does Dad wish that one of us was a boy?
Right. They know from everyday life, they know how I feel about them. They know my words, my thoughts toward them, all that stuff. But when put to the kind of test in that moment, just like you said, they want to know, what is my dad going to say? Does he wish? Does he kind of hold out hope? Maybe he's never told us. Does he wish?
Is he disappointed?
Is he disappointed?
Yeah, right.
So and I don't want to, Jesus juke the guy. However, I have to be careful how I respond. I have 3 girls. And so in that moment, I am modeling. In that moment, I'm communicating something to my girls that I want to make sure that they know that, hey, no, I love you. I'm so glad. If I had to do it over again, I would choose it the way it is. So.
Yes. Okay. Now, what did you say to him? Do you remember?
I think I remember, because I think it's basically my response every time this happens. And I say, because people say, "Oh man, that must be crazy," or "They must." I've had people say,
"Start saving the money."
I've literally.
What parent has all this extra money? I
had somebody to say, "Well, I have all girls and they're terrors."
Yeah, and that happened to us at the amusement park.
And what I just respond by saying, "Oh, they're great. Oh,
they're a blessing.
They're a blessing." And I know some people may say, "Oh, what?" I want my kids to know I wouldn't have it any other way. And I sometimes say that I wouldn't have it any other way. They're incredible. I just want to So it's an uncomfortable moment, but I'd rather maybe somebody else walk away a little bit more uncomfortable than my children be uncomfortable thinking that I would want.
Or wondering.
Yes. So,
okay.
So, yeah.
So a couple of things, like, why bring this up? I think it matters because this is actually a topic.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a boy and a girl in your home, or you have like 3 boys and 3 girls. Like, I don't know who you are listening. And so you're like, man, this is a topic. Well, here, even if this doesn't directly impact maybe your immediate family, I think it's really important just to be aware that this is like a topic that gets talked about a couple of times, maybe gets contemplated or thought about, if people are like, oh man, I'm going to have 3 kids of the same gender or something like that. So I think a couple of things I think it's important to know that gender is assigned by God.
We cannot lose sight of that.
I know that seems like obvious, but in 2024, it's not obvious. It should be, but we're like blurring lines here in this world that we live in. The gender that you are given is assigned by God, and wow, what a simple but powerful point that we need to know.
I will say this, because in some people's verbiage, it can come across that one gender is good, one gender is bad. There's 2, assigned by God. Both have been given incredible value.
Okay, I think you're going into our point number 2.
Sorry.
Which is okay.
So, no, go for it. Yeah, you're
right.
Well,
you skipped We have talked. This is Jeff likes to just move. Okay, true confession.
Where's true confession?
You always. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking.
Hey, we're putting on a marriage clinic right now. No, it's hilarious.
No, but before we move on to the
good.
value,
You're right. I don't want to move too fast.
we need
You're
to
right.
talk about that gender is assigned by God.
It's assigned. It's given.
And it's given, and it's purposeful. Like male and female, he created them. In his image, he created them. And they're separate. They're distinct, of course. I mean, we could talk about the biological differences, but we should also talk about emotional differences, just the makeup. This is not a mistake that God made male and female. And it is given by God. Now, point number 2 that you were already jumping into, but I think that you wanted to mesh those points, but is that each gender is valued by God. Equally.
Yes. Absolute equally. There's no distinction in the sense that
Of their value.
Of their value in the sense where one's more important than the other or all that stuff. They're equal value and they bring, I mean, obviously they're distinct. We know this for sure, but equal value. And I think this is important because we say this intellectually, but with our speech, we can communicate an entirely different reality that, oh, that's a bummer. You have, I mean, people have said these things.
I actually think it's the opposite. I think with our speech, we say those words that God values each gender and they are equal, but our actions betray our speech.
Oh, yeah.
I very rarely meet a Christian who says that both male and female are not created in the image of God, that they are equal. Like rarely. Like I have met some, which is weird.
Yeah.
But most people, they're not really debating this in their speech, but in their actions, totally betraying that. I know it's so crazy because I was just saying we live in 2024.
Yeah.
But there is still this thought that one gender is better than the other. And it can be either which way. It really can be. But that is still very much at play in the world we live in.
And I don't know. Maybe there would have been a time that I was like, I don't know, Rochelle. But I'm just saying, because I'm the dad of girls, and I see this. I see this. You're exactly right. There's not really, you talk to Christians, they'll say, oh yeah, everybody has equal value, but different function. And when they say the different function, basically they're saying, one just a little bit lesser than the other.
I can say this with total, I guess I feel like I've just experienced it. I'm in a field, I'm an ordained minister, and in our denomination that we are a part of, our fellowship, we are part of a cooperative fellowship.
Yes.
Not a denomination. That's a different podcast. We have actually a large percentage of women.
Yes.
But even in that percentage being larger maybe than some others, wow, definitely have encountered people saying things to me that I'm like, oh my goodness, you would never say that to my husband. I know you wouldn't. And so whether we want to believe it or not, it's still true. So we have to know this, that value is assigned by God. I feel strongly about this because I do have 3 daughters. And I think if you want to tell one of my 3 girls that God made them less, malarkey. You're wrong. No, there's no basis of scripture for that.
Sorry, I rest my case. Seriously, that's
any further witnesses.
I don't think I can add to that because that's so good. And we just need to be careful by the little ways we insinuate one is better than the other. You know what? The value of gender it's God assigned. We can't change it. I don't want to, but we can't change it. It's assigned by God.
So assigned by God, valued by God. But I think the third thing when we're talking about this parenting, being the parent of all one gender or all kids with one gender, is that God made your family that way. And it was not a mistake. I think this is really, really key. God does not make mistakes.
God did not, I don't know if this offends, roll the dice with the makeup of your family.
50-50.
He intricately has woven the family makeup the way it is. He gave you, whether maybe it's all boys, maybe it's all girls, or maybe it's whatever, different. He did that for a reason. Do you think, I think we should ask ourselves a question. Do we think that God made a mistake when he chose to give the children he did to us? When he chose to entrust the children no, I'll answer that. Absolutely not.
He does not make mistakes. I think it's actually so very much on purpose that we really, as humans, I think have a really hard time even comprehending how on purpose God is.
Yes.
I think about that even with every interaction, every place, every encounter. I'm looking and saying, okay, God, what are you teaching me in this moment?
Yes.
And he's ordaining things. And I think about that with our own families. The children that God has given you, God chose them for you to be their parents.
Yes.
Like, God set up your family. It was not by happenstance. It was not on accident. It was so very much on purpose. And I want to address this topic, and this is a real term, and it's called gender disappointment. And that's when maybe somebody is hoping for, to go to an ultrasound, or at the day of the delivery, if they wait till that point or whatever, and they're hoping for a particular gender. And when they give birth or they see something on the ultrasound and it's a different gender, there is disappointment. So gender disappointment. I don't want to be like harsh on this, because I really have a lot of empathy for people in those situations. I mean, I say that, but I also say I want to speak truth to it too. So like, I'm not, I don't know. I just don't want this I know this is on video for anybody to see, and I want you to hear that this is not condemning, but I also want to speak truth to it, that wow, God designed that.
Yes.
Like, if we really believe scripture, if we really do, we know that the baby in the womb is literally being fashioned by God. And the details matter, and gender is one of those details. And God is setting it up for a purpose. And so I think, okay, God, there's a purpose for this child, but there's also a purpose for the mother or the dad of these children. And I think there comes back to theology, and there's even this thought, like, I know there's like designing your baby. Like, there is this out there, and we are so not going to be able to get into this. No, because it's such a huge topic.
But that's part of, I think, what makes this topic a topic. It's part of what makes it a topic, in the sense that we live in an age of increasing technology where you can do what you just said.
Like, I only want to create girls.
You can pick and choose what you want and all that. Ooh. And I think that adds to this thing where if we don't get what I hate even saying this, but what we wanted or I guess hoped for, we become disappointed. And yet we go back in Scripture, and what does God say? Before I formed you, I knew you. I formed you in your mother's womb. God, from that and from other scriptures, we know that God delighted in how he made us. Our children need to know that we delighted in how he made them, and we wouldn't have had it any other way. So
we're not trying to Jesus juke anybody, or like condemn anybody who says, oh man, I felt maybe a twinge of whatever. But I do want to speak truth to that, not just coddle that idea. I think I just want people to hear that.
And I think what you're saying too, I think we need to make clear, is these are human beings. These aren't our possessions.
Yes.
That we can switch out.
We have to have the right theology of
these
of
are
that.
living human beings. Life life begins at conception.
Yes.
And so these aren't our possessions. These are living things with
living people.
Living people.
Yes. So if you're the parents of kids of one gender, what are some takeaways? Like, why listen to this podcast? Maybe you're the grandparents of all one gender. Like, I don't know. Okay. How about, here's one. Don't say hurtful things to other people. Now, if you have said, like that person at the store said to you, like, when are you going to get your boy? Or, oh, house full of girls drama. Okay, these are things that have been said.
And I will say grace here because as we joked earlier and I overcompensate, I've said my fair share of
exactly
things that I'm like, did I really? Or I've tried to joke and try to be funny. And so I think, honestly, there's a lot of people who are trying to be funny potentially in this. But I'm
careful.
I'm learning, babe, you know what? Maybe don't go for the
Here's
joke.
what it is. Like,
be careful.
This is just, if anything, it's an education. Don't
Absolutely,
feel condemned.
yes.
Don't feel like, oh my goodness, I think I said that to them. No, guess what? Just move forward, shake the dust off, but try in the future to think about like, okay, like here's a freebie for you. If there's a couple that doesn't have a child yet, probably don't ask, hey, when are you going to have a baby? Because guess what? Chances are they've probably been trying and there's been some disappointment there.
Yeah.
So, okay.
That's good.
Number 2, if you are the parent or the grandparent of kids of one gender, make sure that they know that you know that God didn't mess up. Like that you wanted them. You wanted them to be exactly how God created them.
Yes.
That there are no mistakes. And I think this goes right into number 3.
Number 3, make sure that your kids know that you value them.
Yes.
You can't say it enough. You can't show it enough. You can't, in as many ways as you can. You need to joke around with them. You need to have fun with them. You need to smile with them. And as many different ways as you can. They need to know and receive the message from you, verbally, implicitly, all the above, that you value them.
Yeah, I'd say go overboard in valuing your kids. Go overboard in stating it and showing it. Let there be no room for wonder. Your kids need to know, and they need to have a person that no matter what is in their corner saying, you matter, you're valued, you're important, nothing could change that. I love you.
The reason why this is so important is because they live in a world that's cruel and that literally most of the time throughout the day is taking from them. And so they need to hear from you. You're giving to them. You're adding value
I've
to them.
heard it said, and I think we can end with this, just that send your kids into the world so full of love that the world can't steal it from them.
That's good.
And because it's going to try.
Yes.
So I hope this has been informative. And I hope it's been just even challenging to your thoughts. I hope you're even maybe like, hey, I need to share this with somebody.
Go ahead and share it.
So go ahead and do that. And until next time, we'll see you on the Not On My Watch podcast.
We'll see you then.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Not On My Watch podcast. You are a watchman for this time and hour. Don't forget to subscribe and rate this podcast wherever you listen. If you haven't already, head on over to our website, www.notonmywatch.co, for more resources from Jeff and Rochelle. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time on the next episode. But until then, keep watchful.